Alright, there we go. Oh! Oh! Playing around with new software. Gotta love that. Let's just make sure everything is clicking like it's supposed to. Make sure everything is moving along like it's supposed to. Yeah, everything looks good there. We're catching everything. I stood up and everything. When did I stand up? I love watching myself back. That's fun. Let's see. So I guess today, just to play around, because I'm playing around with the new system. I'm playing around with OBS, trying to see if it will work with my stream speeds. Got my laptop hooked into my wired network, and got PS5 remote play going, but I'm not technically using it, so it's a different setup. So we're trying out a couple of things, just kind of playing around, getting to know the system and the settings. Might as well get used to this a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do franchise mode, because that's what I want to do. And I'm going to do a new franchise. And I think part of this stream will be me kind of ranting a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I like rants. So, just to kind of give you a little background on myself, I'm a Madden guy. I played Madden for a very, very long time. Online since 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. Played it for almost a decade, just about online, pretty much non-stop. Transitioned from one Madden to the next, and finally got burned out at Madden 20, and did come back for Madden 21 because Madden 21 was straight garbage. So I kind of want to go through this franchise mode, and I realize this is offline, but there are a lot of things that I think EA could pull from this franchise mode of NHL, pull into Madden, that would definitely add some intrigue and some excitement to the franchise mode. I don't think they'll ever do it because I don't think they care about franchise anymore, at least not the important people that pay the bills. But these are things I would like to see, even if it's just offline use only. These are things I would like to see come into play. I'm going to name my general manager, Bob Winnebus. There we go. And I'm going to take over the new Seattle Kraken. New franchise coming in, the 32nd franchise. I basically recreated the color scheme and logo the best I could with what was available, which is another thing I would say is actually this mode in and of itself that I'm playing around in right now. This is actually something I would love to see. Expansion mode. I would love to see expansion capabilities because the NFL has 32 teams, and I can understand if maybe the NFL wants to put a kibosh on allowing the league to grow bigger than 32 teams, and even in a video game format. But the ability to be able to add a 33rd, a 34th, a 35th, a 36th team to the NFL could be really good just from the standpoint of online franchise, because you could have more users. And with this game, you can only do it offline, obviously. I know the NBA 2K series does it, where they have the ability to add expansion teams up to 6 into a league franchise, whether it's online or offline. And by the way, here I don't have to necessarily choose the Kraken. I can choose, any team in the NHL. I'm going to choose the Kraken because I like doing the expansion draft. The Burnaby Aces are the AHL affiliate. I'm not going to customize that. I'm just going to leave that default. And here's another thing. this is another thing I would love for Madden to do, especially for those online franchises that have been around for a while. That is realignment. Say you have a squad of really, really good owners that are spread out over different divisions, and you kind of want to maybe introduce some parity back into the league. Why not put all those owners in one conference and let them duke it out for bragging rights to come out of that conference, or out of that division, I should say, not conference. This is I'm looking at conferences up there. But in Madden, I know in a lot of the leagues I ever played in, there's usually about 5 or 6, maybe upwards of 8 top-tier users, guys that are pretty much in the playoffs every single year, to the point where it's just comical. What if you could just say, let's just use this as a pretend screen. Let's say the team that's the Buffalo Sabres, the guy that runs the Buffalo Sabres, the guy that runs the Colorado Avalanche, and the guy that runs the Calgary Flames. Let's say they're all really, really good owners, and they're going to pretty much be in the playoffs every year. Well, with this realignment, I can go, okay, Buffalo, Columbus is really good as well, so I'm going to put you in that division. I'm going to put Colorado in that division, and I'll put Calgary in that division. And now these 4 guys, these 4 elite level users, now have to compete with each other instead of basically taking spots away from guys that may not be as good on the sticks as other guys. Gives other people a chance to kind of get at least into the playoffs and get some hope. Now I got to remember how this. Let me back out because that's going to be the easiest way to remember where all these teams were. Okay, so a little bit of a reset there. Make sure, yeah. Okay, reset. Okay. But that would be an awesome idea for Madden, and that would be something simple. I mean, you could realign the conferences or the divisions to where, there's 4 teams in each division. If you've got 3 or 4 users that are really, really good team or users, put them all in the same division. Let them boot it and let them battle it out. Make them earn a playoff spot. It would be refreshing to be able to do that as a commissioner. That wouldn't be for every league. It definitely wouldn't be for offline, but it would still be fun for offline just to be able to, just that little bit of, what if, the Detroit Red Wings in this case, they used to be in the Western Conference. What if they were back in the Western Conference? What if I said, Detroit, you're back in the Western Conference, we're putting Chicago in the East? I mean, why not? Just, let me do what I want to do with the franchise. As long as I'm not disparaging teams or whatnot, why can't I do that? Why can't I do that in Madden, what I can do it here in NHL, which I'm using this as a reference point because it is an EA game, and EA is kind of a proponent of saying, hey, we will borrow ideas, we kind of collaborate with all our other game developers across the spectrum. Why isn't this part of Madden? I mean, this seems like this would be something fairly easy to implement. And the team at EA NHL definitely did it, and they have a much smaller team than the Madden team. So you would think this would be something that would be in their wheelhouse. I don't know why it isn't. I'm going to go ahead and continue. Some other things. This is kind of stuff that is somewhat Madden owner mode, which is kind of a joke in Madden. It really, honestly, it's not that greatly implemented in NHL, so I'm not really going to say that NHL does a great job at everything. They don't. There are some things they really stink at. Owner mode is definitely one of them. But some things I really do like. Now, I don't want head coach to edit lines. NHL salary cap, that's always obviously turn it on or off. Fog of War, that's something I'm going to leave on for this, even though it's going to be a pain to start. Because I think this in and of itself. Actually, I'll turn it off because I'll show you where to turn it on before you start the franchise, but there are some things I want to show off with it that would really, really be cool in Madden, I feel like. Morale's another thing that's loosely implemented in Madden. It's, in my opinion, poorly implemented in Madden, but that's another thing. So I'm going to leave salary cap, CPU trades, and player morale in, and we're going to go to rules and settings, because this is where I want to show off. I believe it's under advanced settings? No, advanced settings. Is it under advanced settings? Yes, it is, because I'm going to turn auto rotate goalies off. No, it's not. Crap. It's under the other thing. It's under quick settings. Okay, so let's see. Unsafe. Yeah, I'm gonna put my preset on because I have. Oh crap! I didn't put it on. There it is. Franchise. Auto sign free agents is off. You can obviously turn that on. Cap penalties, auto save is on. Franchise mode length is 25 years. That's one thing I will knock on all the franchise modes under EA staple so far, is that they have very limited franchise mode as far as length. I mean, in NBA 2K, you can go like 80, 90 years. Ridiculous. And it saves data for all those 90 years as far as major awards and things of that nature. Why EA can't do it or won't do it, I'll never understand, but it probably has something to do with profitability. So I'm talking suits, not developers. Anytime I'm talking about EA and hating on what they do as a system, I'm not hating on guys that work on the game itself. There are things I think that, well, I know that are out of their control. They are simply the middlemen, so essentially they basically do what the people that pay their paychecks tell them to do. If they tell them to do things that they don't want to do, they'll do it because they like getting that paycheck. So anytime I kind of dog on something that's in the game, I don't really want to preface every single time by saying that it's the suits, basically the people that, you know, make millions of dollars in bonuses while these poor guys struggle to get games out on a regular basis with little to no bugs. So if it sounds like I'm bashing developers in any of this, I'm not. I really am not. Unless I specifically say this is on the devs. Most of the time, development, like the developers, that's going to be like gameplay stuff, I feel like. And even that could be solved if the suits would pay for a quality assistance QA department. But enough of that side rant. But so basically, if you hear me talk about the game, or Madden, or NHL, or whatever, just be aware that I'm referencing the guys that are the big wigs, not necessarily the guys like, for example, in Madden, it'd be Clint Oldenburg is a big one. That's kind of the lead developer guy, formerly Rex Dixon. You know, those guys, they get a lot of beef, and there are some things I don't like about how they handle things, but for the most part, they're making the best of a bad situation. So it's not a knock on any of those guys. But Fog of War is the main thing I'd like to see added in Madden. I'm going to turn it on right here just so I can show you what all you can turn on and off. And what I'll probably do, even though I did turn it off, oh no, leave that on. I'm going to talk about that too. I'm going to leave all this on because I want to show you why it's important, especially if you've never played this game before. This was added in NHL 20, and I really liked it. I've gotten to where I don't like it as much, but there are some elements of it that I think just need to be tweaked with to make it really work. But I'll show you what that means. And then also scouting, you can actually set auto scouting off. You can set it on none, where basically the CPU does not assign out scouts, so basically you have to do all the work yourself, which is what I would do in an online franchise with scouting for Madden. Auto staff management, hire and fire scouts and coaches, that's off, because I'm a big boy, I do everything myself. I'm going to leave both of them on for right now, but I want to show that scouting system once I get in here, because it's going to get important here in a minute. So I've got Fog of War on all the way. I usually don't play with it on, but I want to show you what it does and how it could affect Madden, both online, well, mainly online. I'm looking at mainly online stuff with this setup. So I'm going to go ahead and start my career. Yeah, I want to keep salary cap on. I'm an adult. I know how to budget. But this is something, so now I'm going to jump in once it processes everything. I'm going to jump in, and now I'm going to be at the expansion draft. Now I'm going to look at another thing I like Madden for having. I know some people may downgrade it, and I think listen to the naysayers on it from an online standpoint. I can understand it, but from an offline standpoint, I know why it's there, and that's coaching staff. Ooh, good. I have a forwards coach. So essentially, just to kind of show it off, your coach has an age, has years left. Now, these are all made-up coaches. There's no real coaches here. But you can see on screen, they have offense, defense, power play, penalty kill, teaching, and coach influence. Now, if you know anything about hockey, you know, don't worry about the power play, penalty kill. But essentially, look at like offense, defense, and think of power play and penalty kill in Madden terms as special teams. Teaching, and then coach influence is basically how much your guys pay attention to what you're doing. So you can see my guy's not the greatest at coach influence, but he's really good on defense. He's really good on the penalty kill, which is basically another form of special teams for you football guys that are watching. And then teaching. He's good at teaching his system, essentially. And then each coach has their own strategies, which is awesome. This would be something I'd love to see implemented in Madden. That way, it's pseudo-implemented in Madden. It's loosely implemented, I should say, where you have, say, like 3-4 storm, or you have 4-3 cover 3. It's very general and generic. I'd love to see them break it down to play calls on first down, play calls on second down, play calls on third down. You have to be able to set all that stuff as aggressive or as low as you would want. So that way you could essentially develop your own personality that the CPU could implement if you had a CPU game. So that would be something to kind of cater it towards an online environment. As you can see, my guy's an offensive-minded head coach. He kind of tells you a breakdown of what he can get out of his offense, even though he's got a better defensive grade. He's an offensive-minded coach. Another thing, too, just real quick, I really want to flip back and forth here. This is not a structured this is stream of consciousness, obviously. You can see there's experience, and as your guy goes through and coaches games, he will get points in those various areas and can actually level up to a certain extent. Now, this guy's teaching is maxed out, so he won't level up in teaching, but A+, obviously, I'm happy with that. So, oh shoot, I exited out. Dang it, I did not want to exit out. Okay, so back to this. Now, obviously, there's some stuff in here that won't apply to football, but there's some things like team strategies that you could design this particular screen towards a football-type setup, such as, like, say, for example, the forward and defense ice time allocations. Basically, how often do you play your offensive players? How often do you play your defensive players? How often do you substitute players? And set that up independently of, like, a big generic area to where your guys maybe he likes to, roll out his wide receivers. Maybe he likes to have his wide receivers be fresh. He carries 5-6 wide receivers, goes 5-6 deep at wide receiver, and wants to make sure all those guys get on the field at certain times. That could be set in the coaching mechanisms here, and then you could have your formation subs be an additional change that is implemented in Madden that you could use to kind of further supplement the ability for your coach to be able to swap players in and out on the fly. And then this obviously would be a little tougher to implement towards Madden, but in hockey you have different lines that go out, and each line has its strengths and weaknesses. Obviously the forward line one is usually your best players, forward line 2 is usually your second best, 3 is your third best, 4th is your knuckle draggers that typically aren't really out there except to just eat up minutes if something goes wrong. And then defensive pairings, 1, 2, and 3 work the same way as forward lines. Anyway, you could set up something like this to where maybe teaching-wise you cater to your backups a little differently than you do your starters. Maybe your starters, do certain things, and maybe your second and third string guys, maybe you want them to do some slightly different things. Again, Madden kind of has that in play with the scheme fits where your coach has a certain type of player they like, but I'd really like to see it go beyond just a generic position. Like, for example, in Madden, like wide receivers can be, it's escaping me all of a sudden, route runners or deep threats or used to be, I don't think they do balance anymore. But essentially, you have different rates. Like a deep threat is typically a faster guy, a smaller guy. Slot wide receiver, a guy that's usually a smaller, quicker, kind of not necessarily a fast guy, but like a good acceleration guy that can dart in and out of traffic. Probably has good catch in traffic too. Then you have the physical receivers, usually big, 6 foot plus guys that are got some muscle to them that are good at getting off the press. If you had like a specific, like your starter, this is what I look for in my starting wide receiver. This is what I look for in my second string wide receiver. And you could have those things overlap, but like forward line 1, forward line 2, forward line 3, forward line 4 could essentially be like quarterback 1. This is the value, the attributes I look for. Forward line 2, these are the attributes I look for. Because here's the thing, where you see on screen here, you see carry dump bias, you see cycle shoot bias, you see efficiency energy bias, don't block bias. those are things that players can have. So you want to try and get players, like, for example, my first line guys, I want them to like playing behind the net as far as an offensive strategy. I want them to carry the puck in instead of dumping it in. I want them to shoot whenever they have the puck. I'm not really concerned about expending energy or kind of keeping your energy back and holding it. I'm balanced there, but I don't want you blocking shots. I want shots to get through to my goalkeeper. Okay? So with that in mind, I'm looking for guys that meet those criteria for that first line. That's what I want on my first line. You could do something similar with that with, say, I'll use wide receivers as an example, because wide receivers, off the top of my head, I know have a lot of different things like possession catch and traffic abilities, catch almost like sideline catch capabilities. All those are little traits that are usually yes or no, and they're usually in the back burner. You have to go hunt them up somewhere. This could be something your coach could say, hey, I value this. Because of that, you're going to be a little bit better overall in my scheme, which is where chemistry is going to come into play here in a minute once I go draft a team, which I may just do a quick draft just to kind of get through. So that way you guys can see what I'm talking about with this. I may just do, normally I really nitpick this draft, but I kind of want to talk about how this game could add some help in that category. So I'm going to back out of this. And I have coaches, I have associate coaches that help, and all of these things factor into whether or not a team succeeds or fails. This is offense, defense. These two, think of it as special teams for you guys that are Madden-based. Teaching, so basically my guy, who's this, what's his name, Parker Choney, not the greatest teacher in the world, but okay at defense, okay at the power play, really good, pretty good at the penalty kill, good coach influence, so the guys listen to him, but they don't necessarily, he's not a good teacher, comparatively speaking. And then Hordichuk is my NHL goalie coach, and then I realize that the NFL doesn't have this, but then you have your minor league coaches. And the nice thing about your minor league coaches is if you could find somebody that actually had the same philosophy as your NHL guy, you could essentially create a farm system where your AHL head coach is basically a mirror of your NHL head coach, just not as good. And essentially you could have guys that if they're on the first line in your AHL affiliate and your coaches match up, you know when you bring that guy up to the NHL, he's going to be a first line type of guy. So that kind of works in its favor here. And you can see they have different teaching specialties. There are guys that are good with veterans. And that's something else you could have, is essentially have not only a specialty for teaching, but also like a style of play, which could further differentiate your coaches, which in turn would help you differentiate how your team builds go. So like this guy, he's good at forwards and offensive. This guy's a generalist, which means he can kind of work with everybody, but he's a physical guy, so he prefers that physical, defensive, hard-hitting style of play. This guy's defense and defensive, which kind of makes sense considering he focuses on defensemen. So this guy's going to be more focused on the defensive aspects of the game. So think of him as a defensive coordinator in the NFL. This guy would be more of a kind of maybe like a strength and conditioning coach, just kind of throwing that out there. This guy would be probably your offensive coordinator or head coach in this case. So, and even if this guy was your offensive coordinator, this is a guy that basically maybe would be more geared for offensive line coach because he can work with any position, but his physical play dictates maybe that trench style play. So basically he would be better at maybe coaching up your offensive line versus, say, your wide receivers. He could still do it, but it's not going to be his specialty. Forgive me if you hear my cat hacking up in the background. Sorry. I have a bunch of cats. You're just going to have to deal with it if you watch these shows. I'm sorry. But let's go ahead and get in here and let's get in here, view draft class. I don't want to do that just yet. I want to go to expansion draft, and I'm going to go, okay, our salary cap, let's see where we draft at. We get bumped down to 5th. Awesome. Yay. Okay, that's great. All right, so before I simulate all this, this is where I'm going to actually get to show off the loveliness and the frustrations of the Fog of War system. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to make a pick. Oh, geez. Okay, well, never mind. Let me find a different team. Let me not find. How about let's go Buffalo because they're in the East. They're in the East. Do I have scouts on everybody? Really? Okay. Well, this is going to sort of defeat the purpose here. I was hoping I could find somebody that maybe isn't scouted as well. Geez, they're all scouted. Okay. Maybe that's a change they made since the last time I've used this thing. Okay, yeah, okay. So, nobody? Literally? Okay, okay, here we go. So I can show it off there. Alright. So, let's just use Anthony Ricard or Richard as a guy here. So, first off, you see the 69 overall, it's got 4 bars by the binoculars. That means that guy is fully scouted. So that means that this guy, I have no doubt that this guy's a 69 overall. His role, which is something else I would love to see in Madden, is listed as another 4. Basically, another body on the bench. His potential is bottom 6 forward, and if you notice, he's 23 years old. I'm going to mention that because it says bottom 6 medium. In NHL, you hit your peak at age 26. Basically, at that point, you go from being bottom 6 with a medium, and medium is a type of potential. So essentially, there's high, medium, low. If it's high, you have a really good chance of hitting that level, maybe even surpassing it. If you are low, that means you have a lesser chance of hitting that. You'll probably be a step below that. For example, let's see. Let me find an exact guy here. Like this guy, Eric Gudbranson. He is listed as a 75 overall. He's 28 years old, so he's above that 26-year-old threshold. His role is a minor top 4 defenseman, and his potential is 7th defenseman. So basically, he's a backup guy at his absolute peak, and right now he has basically hit his potential. That's as high as he's ever going to be. Okay? Now, he might get better overall a little bit, but he's going to stay around an overall to the point where he will always be a guy that will be on the bench unless an injury occurs at the NHL level. So what I'm going to do now is you'll see like this. There's the low potential. So this guy, he's 26, so he's pretty much maxed out because he's gonna basically lock in. But he's a top 9, so basically he's going to be either a first, second, or third line forward. And then the other thing is each of their stats, their attributes are also scouted. Now apparently my scouts killed it in this because I'm usually kind of off on these, but as you can see, my scouts pretty much scouted everybody, which is nice of them. I'm glad they did that. So, for example, like in Madden, this is just thinking about Madden. Let's say my scouts didn't fully get Nick Cousins' speed, which I know is 87 right here. But let's say it just had 3 or 2 ticks on it. That would mean that essentially it was not fully accurate information. 4 ticks is fully accurate. 3 ticks is mostly accurate. Shoot, I exited out. I'll just pop in on somebody. Let me just get in here. We'll use this guy, Cam Fowler. So 4 ticks is full. 3 ticks is mostly. You're pretty sure you're right. About 75% chance you're on the button. You're probably going to be off within a point or 2. 2 ticks means you're probably going to be off about 3 to 4 pops if you're not right. And then 1 star means that it's maybe 5 to 10 points, and you can also have nothing. You can have 0 information on a pro player, which makes sense because let's be fair. As a team in the Western Conference, which is what the Seattle Kraken are going to be, we probably won't need to scout. Say, let me find my team, the Rangers. We probably won't need to scout the Rangers all that much, mainly because they're in the Eastern Conference. We don't play the Eastern Conference a ton. So there's really no need for me to scout that area. Now I did, because apparently they're just giving me everybody today and making me regret trying to show this off. But this is something where your pro scouts, because you have pro scouts and you have amateur scouts, which is something, again, I would like to see in Madden because it would really make trading entertaining. Because you even have to have scouts on your own players, which you may think, why do I need to scout my own players? Should my coaching staff be able to keep up with that? Not necessarily. I'm going to sim the entire draft. I hate doing this because, well, I like to pick my players, but I want to show off some things. So let's go to draft class. Oh, man. Franchise level defenseman, that makes me cry. Wouldn't fit in my play style. Something else I'll mention here. As you can see, like, okay, I mentioned franchise, by the way, is the highest level. That would be if you think, say, like a Patrick Mahomes style player, like that level of player. That's a franchise level player in this game. Elite would be those high-end guys, say like we're talking quarterbacks, say like an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, those kind of guys. But you see, like this guy right here, he has one tick by the elite status, which means that I could miss by up to 3 levels of scouting for him, which means I look at him and say he's elite, but he could potentially be either elite, he could be franchise, but it's doubtful. But he could be elite, he could be top 6 forward, which is 1 step below elite, he could be top 9 forward, which is 2 steps below elite, or he could be bottom 6, which is 3 steps below elite. So you can see scouting makes a difference, because if I pick this guy and he's bottom 6 and I pick him with a top 5 pick, I'm going to be upset. Now, he's probably not bottom 6, but the potential's there for me to screw that pick up. And that would be the equivalent of drafting a bust in the NFL. That's what would make that interesting. And there will be guys. One thing I really do like about the NHL draft side of life is that they do a phenomenal job at basically making sure there are elite level players scattered throughout. They just might have lower overalls. So they might be a player that might have, say, a 49 or a 59 overall, but their elite status, which means in 2 or 3 years, if you develop them right, they will become players that you can lean on, and they become those starters, those skill players that basically can take you to the playoffs and take you in Madden to the Super Bowl, in this game the Stanley Cup. So there's lots of that, and then also you'll see the type of player, which is another thing that technically Madden kind of does with the whole scheme setup. I do kind of like that, but I wish they would work on that a little bit. But as you can see, I think this guy is an SMP, which is a sniper. Okay, this guy may not be a sniper though. He could be potentially a playmaker. He could potentially be a 2-way forward. He could potentially be a grinder. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain. Now this guy, I'm 100% certain, is a 2-way defenseman. Okay, so that I do know. This guy, I'm pretty sure, is a power forward. But he could be a 2-way forward, or he could be a grinder. His body type tells me by 6'2", 198, that tells me maybe power forward, but maybe also 2-way forward. I won't know until I draft him. And with Fog of War on, I actually won't know until I scout him thoroughly by playing him in the preseason, which makes preseason make it important, which is something Madden has failed to do for a very, very long time. When you're an online franchise, nobody gives a crap about playing the preseason games. They just want to get to the regular season. Wouldn't it be nice if you had to... They tried doing it in Madden with the whole hidden potential stuff, which is... I give them some credit. That's not a bad way to do it. But it's still not enough for me to really entice me into trying this. What would really entice me into playing the preseason would be if, with Fog of War settlements, maybe my guys that I had even just last year, their ratings disappear for me because they've gone off and they've had off-season work and they've done other things. So when they come back, I'm not entirely sure. I may have a general idea of where they're coming from, especially if they were my players last year, but it won't be 100% because, again, they're coming back. They've gotten a year older. They may be a step slower. They may be a step faster now. I don't know. Playing those preseason games and putting in reps to basically lock in those overall those attribute numbers, just attribute numbers, would be huge for preseason, because then I have to play the preseason because I need to get this guy enough reps to make sure he's worth keeping around for a couple of years, because maybe I've signed this guy to a long-term deal thinking he was going to be the franchise, and then after 2 years suddenly he's falling off a cliff, and now I got to figure out if I can dump this guy, which is another reason why Fog of War, I like Fog of War, is because when you go in, I'm going to have to, let me just get past this. Let me just get through. I'm talking ahead of myself a little bit because the Fog of War I can't really kick in until the regular season. So let's do this. Something else I like, the draft. I always like drafts. So drafts are fun for me. I'm just going to go through. I'll tell you what, let's just sim the whole draft. I'll sim everything else. I'm going to sim the entire draft. This is painful for me. I like drafting, but I need to get the meat and potatoes, because there we go. Okay, meat and potatoes time. Resign phase. Alright, okay. So let's go to contracts. This is something that irritates the shit out of me with Madden. I'm a cap guy. I like cap. I know some people hate doing math. I like it. But something that always irritates me with Madden, because it's in real NFL, restricted free agency. Why is that not in Madden? It was in Madden. Well, I say Madden. It was in EA Sports' NFL franchise called Head Coach 09. They had restricted free agency. You can't tell me you can't put in restricted free agency. Restricted free agency in the NFL is a little different, but essentially it boils down to you set a draft pick acceptance that you will take for somebody else to sign this team. It kind of works the same way in NHL, where basically if I put an RFA tag on this guy, which is his is next year, not this year. Let me see if I can find one this year. Okay, here we go. RFA. So I can do a qualifying RFA, which means I put a contract on him. I'm basically claiming that player as my own for like essentially the minimum of what he would get on the market. Let's see, view legend. Here we go. Let's see. And there's also this too. So you've got a little legend that you can look at. I wish I could pull up. I guess I can't pull that up. I'll have to pull it up. But essentially, if somebody else tried to sign this player, I would have 7 days to match the offer, or let them go for, depending on how much money they were offered, potentially draft pick compensation. Now, a guy like this guy, AJ Greer, would not net me any prospects or net me any draft picks because he's a 74 overall, so he probably won't get a lot of money, which means I wouldn't get compensated for him. But guys that are higher up, like this guy that next year, I passed him up. This guy that next year is going to hit restricted free agency, D'Angelo. This is a guy that has an 81 overall who's probably going to go up because he's only 24. Might next year command enough cash to where if I'd said, you know what, I'll claim you, but I hope somebody else signs you. If somebody else signed that player, then I would be eligible for compensation. I'm going to actually tell you what, we're just going to do very basic stuff. Drive and skaters, goalies. Okay, pretty much everybody's here. Dang, okay, cool. So, fair enough. Let's just send a free agency. Because then I could show you an RFA. Yep, I knew you'd sign with me. Okay. Contract limits, similar to, But let's go sign a free agent. Let's go find an RFA. So, here's a guy, Pellick. He's an RFA. Restricted free agent tender. So, his team has tendered him an offer. If you don't tender an offer, they are just unrestricted free agents. So, Pellick. I'm going to go sign Pellick. I'm not going to actually sign him. I'm just going to offer him a contract. Really? That's it? That's all I can give him? Oh, I am over in cap space. How the heck did I get 15? How the heck am I negative 13 million in cap? Oh, man. See, this is what happens whenever you don't pay attention to who your players, who you draft. Oh, I am over the cap. That is insane. How am I over the cap? How did you let me go over the cap? Okay, fair enough. But I could turn this into a teaching opportunity. Because here we go. Here's one thing I would love to see, which did Madden do this? Fine trade. Okay, I need to get another cap. I know James Van Riemsdyk makes a ton of money. I want to dump him. He's got good trade value, which is another thing I'd love to see in Madden. It's kind of there once you trade a guy, but I still like to see it earlier. So I can hit and add into, and I can add as many players as I want, up to 5. I say as many players as I want, just 5. So I want to know, does anybody want to offer me anything for James Van Riemsdyk? And the only team that does is the Dallas Stars, and they're offering me a goalie and 2 picks for him. Can I even take that? Sure. Okay, so I dropped them to below to $9 million in their cap. Okay, well, let me get goalies here. Why did we get Jonathan Quick? Why did you draft Jonathan Quick? But here's another thing. Multiple trades. So, they're offering me multiple teams are offering me options for Jonathan Quick. God, why did we draft Jonathan Quick? I should have went through this. Jesus. All right, just trade, just fine. Whatever, dump him. I don't care. He's garbage. Okay. I'm still $5 million over. Gee willikers. Oh, okay. Well, we apparently just picked every high dollar player in the damn game. Is what we did. All right, Jason Zucker. No trades found. Okay, and that's something else. Sometimes you just won't get a buyer. Oh, that's not good for me though, because I need some buyers here. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take any trade that gets given my way because I need to get below. Oh, this is terrible. How much salary do I have? Oh, why did we draft Kyle Pozo? He's $6 million a year, you morons. Oh, no wonder. Did we just take every single high salary? Oh, what's Victor Rass make? 4 mil? Oh, Jesus. Oh, I love Cap, but my God, you're killing me, Smalls. Okay, 2 point. Still not enough. I wanted to sign the guy for a decent value so that way I could show it off. Radic Faxa, can I trade him? I'm not going to save this anyway because, oh my gosh, this is miserable. But yeah, okay, so we cleared some cap. There. All that to clear cap to try and sign this guy. Just so I could show this off. That's depressing. Okay, so Adam Pellick. Alright, offer a contract. I probably can't, yeah, this is all I could offer him. It's 5.3. So I can offer him this contract. When I offer it to him, based on the price I'm paying him, that's what I'd have to give up. This year's first and third round picks. And then he'd have to accept the contract. And if he accepts the contract, then the Islanders, the team that owns his rights, would have the option to keep him at the price point I paid or give him up and get the picks. That would be awesome to have in Madden. Why can't we have that in Madden? That would add so much to free agency. Free agency right now is just absolutely awful. But at the very least, you know, adding just restricted free agency would add a ton of value to guys that maybe, you know, so that way you don't have to lose everybody in a season. So you got a bunch of guys coming up, you only have a limited number of cap, restrict a couple of them, so that way if teams try and sign them, especially the guys you value, you can get stuff back for them from those teams. So you basically rob from Peter to pay Paul. Another thing that Madden needs to do yesterday is, if you look right here in this column I'm highlighting, it's the team's interested tab. Note that this says 1, 1, 1, and says 2 for this one. I'll just sort by that. So we got this guy has got 3 suitors. This guy's got 3 suitors. Okay, so let me go in here. I'm going to offer him a contract. Now note, in Madden, those of you that are familiar with Madden, at this point I would be able to see on a point system who's winning, quote unquote, this player. Note that you don't see any of that here. You see Calgary, I'll change and tell you who they are. Calgary, Buffalo, Minnesota. Okay? So all I know is what 3 teams are in the sweepstakes. I don't know, I have no idea what they're paying the guy. Now, I know it can't be more than that because of the way he's set up, this contract style. If you don't know anything about contracts in the NHL, don't worry about it. But at the very least, if I want to have a shot at this guy, I'm probably going to have to pay him the max because 3 other teams are in there. So I'm probably going to have to pay the max. I don't know what those guys offered him. I have no clue. I have no clue what level of interest he has in any of those teams, which is a good thing comparative speaking to Madden. It's a bad thing because I really wish it was more in depth of why does he want to sign with a team. Does he want to sign because he wants to get developed? Does he want to sign because there's a coach he likes? Does he want to sign because he's signing with a winner? Does he want to sign because I'm paying him the most money? Why does he want to sign with me? That's something I really would love to see implemented and shown in any EA franchise. It's just, why do they want to sign with me? I mean, right now this is just a face. I see the guy, Chlopik. Hi, Chlopik. Like, let me go find somebody, let's just sort it by most money. Like Taylor Hall. Okay? Taylor Hall's a really good player in the NHL. Good scorer. Okay? But right now, he's not Taylor. That's not Taylor Hall. That's just a picture of Taylor Hall and some numbers that maybe if I manipulate well enough, I can make him come to my franchise. Not at that price point, but he wants 8.275. I'm not getting it for 5.3. But make me care about why I'm signing the guy. Why does the guy want to sign with me? Do I have something to offer as a franchise that no other franchise has to offer? For example, if I'm the Super Bowl champs in Madden or the Stanley Cup champions in NHL, I'm sure I could get a lot of veteran guys to sign for less if I could prove that we're going to make another cup run or we're going to make another playoff run. Veterans do that all the time, especially if they're near the end of their career. Not that saying Taylor Hall's near the end of his career at 28, but guys at the end of their career, like let's just sort it by age. Like Zdeno Chara, he's won a cup before. He's 43 years old. He's maybe got one more year left in him, maybe. Why would he sign with an expansion franchise that has no hope of making the playoffs, especially after all the cuts I just had to make? Okay? Why would he sign with me? What would be the reason? I mean, just because I paid him the most money? That shouldn't be the only reason that guy signed with you. They should go, hey, you know what? It's not about the money here. Now, I will give NHL some credit. If you go to sign a guy, they can tell you no. Based upon the fact that they'll have some underlying factors that don't show up on screen. So NHL at least makes that attempt. But if you offer enough money, you can sign anybody. Anybody. Okay? So like Patrick Marleau, if I offered him just like the $2.25 million he's asking for right now, if I offered him that, he would probably tell. In fact, actually, I tell you what I'll do. I'll undershoot him and hope to God he doesn't sign. Well, if he does sign, I don't care. I'm showing this off. But I'm going to offer him a contract. So right now, I'm the only one offering. I offered him less than market value as far as what he's expecting. So let's just fast forward a couple of days and see if I hope he doesn't sign. Oh, crap. Are you kidding me? Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd do that in a heartbeat, trying to cut salary. Nope. I don't know. Crappy starting squad. Yeah. Okay. I decided to reject your offer. My goal is to win, which makes sense. He's 40 years old. He's on the back end of his career. I know for a fact he's never won a Stanley Cup. He's looking for a Stanley Cup before he retires. He's well past his prime. He wants to get a cup. And he knows my team is not close to it. But he does say perhaps more money will change my mind. So I could pay him more. And he would probably sign. Which, if he's wanting to take a payday, it would probably take a big payday for him to come to a team like mine. But essentially, that's great. I like that. I wish that was more in Madden, especially in-season free agency. In-season free agency, if you've got the money, all you do is walk up to them, here's the contract, and they sign it. That's it. Unless you try to sign them for less than what they want, that's the only way they reject. Why wouldn't they reject? Like if I'm a 2-10 team, and I come to a guy that's been in the league for 10 years, was hoping a contender would come find him, and lowly me comes up at 2-10 and says, "Hey, would you come play with us for the veteran minimum?" That dude might just say, you know what, I'll hold out and hope that maybe somebody else gets an injury or something, and I'll sign with them. That makes sense. If I were that veteran, that's what I would do too. Dude, you're 2-10. I'm not going to go get killed on a regular basis to lose games and further batter my body. If I'm going to get my body battered, I'm going to go do it for a winner if I can. Now, beggars can't be choosers, which is where the money comes into play, but that just makes sense. Why are there not extra things to look at for as far as consideration for a contract of some kind? Now, let me exit without saving. This is my first time playing with OBS, so I'm going to try something here that I've not tried before. Usually when I do a stream, what the heck? Why that pop up? Close game. Let me close that out real quick. Go away. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I'm still streaming because I'm streaming through OBS. Let me go pick up MLB The Show. This is yet something else different. I'm used to having to cut the broadcast for one and then go to the next one. All right, so we got MLB The Show now.
Hello, baseball fans. I'm Matt Vasgersian.
Yeah, pitting. Yes, I would love to retire. Yes, that's right. I got. You're give me my packs. No, I don't want to open them yet. I want to look at something else. Yes, okay. Thank you. All right, cool. Let's go straight into franchise. I've got a franchise started. I'm at the trade deadline? No, All-Star Week. Okay, so I'm a little ways into this. I play the Texas Rangers mainly because they're terrible. I like taking terrible teams and improving them. Let's go. Oh, can I do free agents? So let's just try this guy. Okay, so here's some things that I want to point out here that I really like about this game. Okay, that I really like about MLB The Show. The first thing, number one, I could sign this guy out of free agency for multiple years. That's something you can't do in Madden. It's a year-to-year thing. I would love to be able to sign guys to multiple-year contracts. Options, that would be something I would like to see added in Madden, where you could add player or team options, which, as you can see, adds interest to the player. So that's a good thing. Of course, this guy's 32 years old. I would not pay him for 5 years as a relief pitcher, but still, here's the other thing I want to point out. Take a look at his contract interest. Role. He wants to be a depth player. I can tell him, no, you're going to be the closer. And look, he jumps from, that's happy, that's ecstatic, because he's not expecting that. But if I tell him he's in the bullpen, he's still ecstatic. He just wants to be a warm body on the bench. He doesn't even care if he pitches. But if I tell him he's in the bullpen, he's awesome. So I can actually make him happier about signing the contract based upon that. Payout structure. Oh, God, payout structure. Madden, seriously. I'm going to look in the camera for this. Madden. Frickin' put in backloaded and front-loaded contracts and let me restructure deals on a year-to-year basis and stop with this BS of putting in this 7-year maximum contract crap. Figure it out. Figure it out. Okay? You've had how long? Madden 12 was when you first put in the salary cap. That's 10 years now. 12 years. Listen on that. 10 years. Figure it out. Every franchise does it but you and NHL. EA as a whole. Figure it out. Payout structure. Normal. Front-loaded, back-loaded. Awesome. Love this. So that way you can manipulate your cap a little bit better. Okay, this is great stuff. This is good stuff. This is franchise level stuff. But let's take a look at the next guy. So, Shane Green, no team quality is none. Coaching staff, none. He has no preference there. So the fact that I suck doesn't mean anything to him. Region, no problem. Okay? Where is Mr. Green from? He's from Florida. Okay, that's good to know. Cole Hamels. He wants to be a depth player as well. However, he has some differences now. He wants to play for a contender. He's 37 years old. He's a starting pitcher who's on the back end of his career. I can understand this. From a standpoint, I can understand that mentality. He wants to play for a winner. And it tells me he wants to play for a winner. And you see that frowny face? Yeah, I'm not a contender at 24 and 36, 37, something like that. 52. Okay, I'm way worse than I thought. Fair enough. Okay, but Cole Hamels wants to play for a contender. Okay, he wants to play for a contender. Coaching staff, top tier. By the way, my head coach is F-rated. So you can, not top tier. And close to home. He lives in California. He was born in California. He may not live there now, but he's born in California. I'm in Texas. Not close to home. So, reality, let's pull back a little bit. I'm in the AL West. Take a look at the top teams in the AL West. Two of the three. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are 48-28. 7 games up on everybody. They're in Los Angeles, California, in case you needed a geography lesson. So if the Angels had an injury or an issue with their starting pitching and they needed an arm, Cole Hamels would probably be like, dude, sign me yesterday. Because it's in California, it's a contender, and he wants to be depth. He doesn't even care about starting or being in the bullpen. He doesn't care. He just wants to be a body on a winning team. That makes sense as a veteran. I'm okay not playing anymore. That's wear and tear on my body, I say. Get a ring? I'm okay with that. He don't want to sign with Texas. Even the Athletics, the Oakland A's, he would consider before me because, again, it's in California. It's close to his home. Stuff like that matters. Stuff like that is great to matter. And it makes these guys feel like real people. Like I'm not just negotiating with a computer over numbers. Like I can manipulate them. Like I can make him want to sign with me. As you can see, I increase the numbers enough. Yeah, he'll sign with me because he's looking for 3.7 a year. And also another thing I like about MLB The Show is depending on how you structure the contract, look at the numbers. Hey, you want to sign me for 2 years? Okay, I'll take a little less. I'll take a discount. 3 years, I'll take even more of a discount. 4 years, I'll take even more of a discount because I'll be 41 by then and probably in Major League Baseball terms, dead. Okay, he'll be gone. But if I want to pay him for 1 year, that's not enough security. I need more money. So now the interest is even less. So I can pump that. Like I can pump that up and just, but at a certain point, as you can see, money doesn't make a difference anymore. Because look, let me get it back where it goes back down. There it goes. So after 5.1, there's no reason. He doesn't care. I can make him the ace of the staff, and he will take a little less. But making him the ace of the staff means he has to be at the top of the rotation. That means I have to play him as that player. So if I said I'm going to play as that player, and I don't, he starts to get mad and morale kicks in, which is the next thing I want to show off in this game that Madden cannot figure out. I almost cursed bad. Okay. So, let's see. Where can I find my morale at? I can't remember. Let me see if I can figure it out. It's been a while since I've looked at this, so pitching rotation, roster, contract, maybe? No, it's coaching and scouts. Where the heck did I find that out? Did they take that away? I used to be able to find that pretty easily. Roster. Can I find that? Another thing, quirks. I like quirks. Being able to have like different. This is the ability system from the Superstar and the X Factor Superstar stuff. This is it done right. This is it done right. Oh man, I thought I could find. Can I not find? Oh, it's gonna aggravate me, especially live. It's gonna aggravate me finding morale. Trades. Maybe trade, sure. No, that's not gonna do it. Man, where the heck did I find team goals? Depth chart, maybe. Okay, 2020. So that's just my depth chart at a glance. They may have took that out. That's actually something I did like too. I can't find it. That bugs me. Let's see. Because there used to be a screen you could go to and look at the morale of your players on the team, and essentially it would be simplified by like basically ecstatic to angry, and you could see all your players at a glance there. Let's see. League leaders, standings. No, it's not really standings. No, it's not. Maybe it's not there. Maybe they don't have that anymore. That's disappointing. That was disappointing. That's something I don't like that. I like as part of the old stuff. It's probably in there somewhere. I just don't remember where it is. But training and things of that nature. I kind of like the way the show does it, but I kind of don't because it's, which I guess makes sense. It's really slow to progress guys. It feels like, comparatively speaking, but I guess it does make sense in a way because like this guy has been on batting cages all year. He's not gone up a point. This guy has gone up a point in a couple of different things, but I do like the fact that they go down and stuff. That's actually something I do like. because it can fluctuate from time to time, and you can, in some cases, you can focus on it to kind of try and bring it back up. But it still, I would like to see it be a little faster, but I can understand why it's not faster, because it is a 162 game season versus 16 games in the NFL. But these are things like franchise-based things that I would love to see Madden do, or just general housekeeping things that I feel like Madden should try and do that I feel like would be awesome. And I think what I'm going to do, because I've shown off the badge system here, the quirks I should say, and then obviously contract stats. This irritates me greatly with Madden. How can Madden not keep track of stats? I mean, seriously. I mean, come on now. That's ridiculous. But like here at a glance, you can see their attributes. You can also see for pitchers, you can see their hitting and fielding attributes, which of course most pitchers, especially American League pitchers, will be crap at that. But you can see their secondary positions. But yeah, I tell you what, let's do this. Let's do this. Since I'm on here, why do we keep popping that up? I keep closing it, but it keeps popping up. I think it pops up because I keep changing out games. Let's go to the offending party. Let's go to the offending party. Let's go to Madden. Oh boy. Oh. Unless it's too hard to program, or costs too much money to program. I will say, I know earlier I mentioned that I don't talk about the developers all that much, but on like the backloaded, front-loaded contracts, honestly, that's on you developers. That's on you. Unless there's something from on high that's telling you not to do that for whatever reason, that's on you. And by the way, yeah, EA tracks. Yeah, we're going to turn off a lot of this because I don't want to get demonetized. I'm not monetizing this video. I don't really like any of your music anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Alright, so there we go. Nice, quiet. So some small things. Just on the start, right here. Just starting here, for one. Two things I'm going to state real quick. Madden. Stop with the BS of showing me Ultimate Team every time I load up a game. If I cared, I'd go into Ultimate Team. Okay? Do not make that the first thing I see in a game I pay $60 for. Or $70 for, because that's the way it's going now. Okay? Technically I didn't pay anything for it. I paid EA Play for it. Okay? I wouldn't have paid for this garbage. They'd had to pay me to play this garbage. Okay? The only reason I'm playing it right now is because I have EA Play from last year, and I downloaded it once it became free. Okay? I have put less than 5 hours of gameplay into this bad boy. I will say I like the PS5's motion, the little bit I've played of it. I like the way it moves. Don't break that, Madden 22. I'm looking at you guys. I don't care if everybody whines that it's too slow. It's realistic. Let's try some realism for a change. Okay, so anyway, there was a second thing I was going to say other than don't advertise, Ultimate Team every single time I turn it on. Okay? The other thing, I don't really like the Yard or Superstar KO. I mean, they have their moments, but like these two modes, they need to find a new game. Like they need to find that, arcade stuff that's coming out and becoming a thing. These two need to find their way into an arcade game of NFL. Like seriously, they need to go. Ultimate Team is your arcade mode. Okay, that's your arcade mode. Fix that and make that work for you, and let the microtransaction issues go where they may, and go from there. Alright, so, franchise mode. Let's hop in with Brian Flores and my Dolphins here. Okay, so, some things as I stand here. First thing, so many things. Like this right here. Okay, so I shouldn't be able to come in and sign this guy for 6.25. First off, first problem I have, there is no negotiation. Like, I have to pay him that. I can't go, hey, I'll give you 6, or hey, I'll give you 5 since nobody signed you. Gotta pay him 6.25. That's first problem. Okay? I can actually live without the no years, like 1 year deal, like that being locked, but at least let me negotiate the price. Because I should be able to negotiate the price with somebody who's at home not playing. Okay? Earl Thomas. Yep. Oh, look, no, can't negotiate that one either. Oh, jeez, man. So, that's an aggravating thing. Let's see, what else can I find aggravating here? Okay, coaches. Coaches. Okay. This is garbage. I'm just gonna say I'm calling a spade a spade. It's garbage. Okay, this mode and method of XP gain and doing this is garbage. Okay, what I'd really like, which I don't think they'll ever do, but what I'd really like is for them to adopt the NHL Be a Pro series of XP gains, where the more you do things, the better you get at those things. So, for example, and I realize some of these things may be a little bit harder to implement than others, but some of them can be tied into a different thing. Some of them can be tied into attributes. That's something you should really put on coaches, is attributes. Why do we not have attributes for coaches? Okay? Coaches, attribute-wise, coaches should have, things like, for example, when I had NHL up, they had offensive grades, defensive grades, special teams grades. I'll simplify it. Teaching. Those things should be here and should be easily upgradable. Okay? A lot of this stuff should be like bonus XP I should be able to award to a general manager, not the coach. Maybe this stuff, the player progression stuff, maybe, but that could easily tie into your teaching attribute, and that would make you better at coaching up those particular positions. And you could maybe set certain positions that you focus on more and get XP for those specific positions and get it to where they get bigger boosts. Instead of spending a chunk of XP, you actually go in there and you manipulate your coach in such a fashion that you're actually coaching up the positions that you want to get better, and you're getting better at it while you do it. That would be engaging. Okay, that would be something where I could actually influence. I could actually set how I want my coach to coach, like I would coach. Okay, this player retention, all this could go under general manager. I know that EA is talking Madden 22 adding coaching staff. I would be actually okay with just offensive and defensive coordinators and special teams. Just three spots, which is probably all they're going to add anyway. Let's be realistic. That's all they're going to probably add, if they even get that far before beta hits. But offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams. That's really all you need. And those guys could be further cemented down by how well they coach the different positions underneath their employ. So you'd have your head coach that could teach every position. You have your offensive coordinator that focuses on the offensive guys, your defensive coordinator that focuses on the defensive guys, and your special teams that focuses on the kicker and punter, and maybe some offensive line or some blocking or something else to kind of supplement. Okay? But in all, that's the way it should work. And those guys should have individual ratings based on how well they do those things. Okay? Head Coach 09 did a phenomenal job. I hate referencing old games that I can't pull up and show you because I don't have a PS3 emulator. But Head Coach 09, did a great job at making those coordinators. And all it was essentially you got enough experience points, you could buy a badge that basically went from levels 1 to 5. And the more, and another thing I'd love to see, which I'll talk about in a second, basically you could buy those badges and get up to the max level for your coach if it was a non-created coach. So like Brian Flores would have limitations on how good he could get at certain things. Maybe he's a good defensive coach, but he's crap on offense. So essentially like his defensive badges for like his defensive players, he could buy levels 3, 4, and 5, but his offensive players he could maybe buy level 1, maybe level 2. Okay, everybody could get at least level 1 in something, but you couldn't get beyond a certain level unless you were proven to be skilled in that area. You capped out your potential. Which leads me to something else I'd love to see Madden do. Roster. Okay. By the way, I downloaded a draft class. I kind of just did a draft class with this, so you will see some guys. Oops, excuse me. Got up and sat back down again. You will see some guys in here that are from this past draft, so just it's a goofy thing. But anyway, like Devontae Smith. I'll just pick Devontae Smith just out of he's a rookie from this past draft. So with Madden the way it's set up, I will say that I do like the fact that they have separate archetypes that build up separately for the route runner, the deep threat, the slot, the physical. I like that. I may be in the minority, but I like that. Okay. What I don't like is the fact that I can boost any attribute in the game given enough experience, that's the key, to get every attribute up to 99. Okay. What I would love to see, and what, again, I'm going to reference head coach, what head coach did such a phenomenal job of doing is take a look at the speed attribute for Devontae Smith. It's 91. That's pretty fast. Okay, that's pretty fast. I know some people will say, my God, that's slow as molasses. Look, you 90 plus, you fast, okay? 91 speed. I can get him up to 99 in the game. There is nothing that stops me from getting him to 99 speed except for my skill as far as getting experience and getting lucky on dice rolls. Okay? That's the only thing that stops me from getting him 99 speed. What if in the game it told me his speed was 91 and the maximum amount it could get to was 93? Okay? Follow me on this. What if acceleration, the max he could get was 96? Okay? And what if, here we go. What if doing things in game didn't just get you a generic XP set like what this is, where it just pulls into a pool, but what if each individual attribute had its own XP bar? Okay? In Head Coach 09 they did this. Okay? That's why I mentioned it. Basically, anything you did in a game, if you ran a route, okay, you got a little bit of XP towards speed, acceleration, and route running. Now, back then they didn't have the breakdowns in the route like they do now. Okay, so just picture short, medium, and deep all as one route. You older people in Madden will remember that. Okay, but once that XP bar fills out, you gain a skill point. You gain a point to 92. Okay. There's no spending of XP points. It's all gained through in-game play and earned through practices and things like that. You have no control over that. Now, I know there will be some people that when I say that go, oh, I don't have control over it? That sucks. You technically do have control over it. Because if you bench the player, they don't get anything. If they play, they get something. Now, you may not be able to manipulate it. Aha, there's key. You may not be able to manipulate it, but you still can get it. Okay? And having those caps on things really makes you think about whether or not you want that player on your team. For example, if you're a guy, like look at Devontae Smith's release in this case. For example, he's a 74 release. Okay? I got to move the control every once in a while because I'm online. Okay? I tell you what, I can go offline for this discussion because I don't have to be I just have to be up at a roster. So I'm going to pull up a roster offline. Excuse me for a second. I was interrupting my string of thought with another string of thought. Okay, manage rosters, manage players. It doesn't matter who I'll pull up Michael Thomas. Okay, pull up Michael Thomas. Oh, jeez. Can I pull up? Oh, can I not pull up that way? It won't let me roll it. Dude. Nope, I'm going to have to do it in franchise. You buzzards. Okay, well fine then. My thought was thwarted. So we'll go back into franchise then. Okay, fine. That's alright. That's okay. Alright, so boom, we're back in. Let's pull up I'll pull up a crappy wide receiver. How about we do that? So that way I can kind of spitball a little bit here. Or actually cornerback. That actually would be a good one. Let's do corner. Let's pull up that guy. Melifonwu. I'm just calling him Melifonwu. He's 6'3", 198. That's always nice. I like big corners. But okay, so what if, let's take a look at his, let's disregard his athletic ability for just a second. Let's look at, like, say, his man coverage and zone coverage. These are areas where you'd want a guy to be at the top of his game. But what if this was a guy, he's a slot corner. So it'd probably be, let's say he caps out, okay? Let's say man coverage can get no higher than, say, a 72. Zone coverage can get no higher than a 76. Play recognition can get no higher than 78. Tackle can get no higher than 70. Would that guy be good for you? Would you want that guy on your team? If you knew going in that was his top, like that was it, that is as good as he's going to get with those skills. Yes, baby, I'm talking to the camera, Rue. If that was as good as he was going to be, would you keep him? Would you trade him? Okay. What if he had a speed rating that could get up to 98, acceleration that could get to 97, and agility that could get up to 98, jumping that could get to 98? What if he was an athletic specimen potentially, but his skill set was not going to be as good for you in the long run? Would you keep him? Would you trade him? Would he be excellent trade bait because that other person would know something about it? What, boo? Yes, I'm talking to the camera. You want to talk to it too? But those are things that, with a maximum rating set, you could set those things. Okay, you could set it to where a player will cap out. So you could prevent a league of entirely, potentially, although it would be difficult to do, 99 overall players at every position. You could limit that by just simply implementing, I'll get the word out eventually, by implementing maximums, by implementing maximum values that a player can hit. And it can be based on draft position. It can be based on school he goes to. Maybe he's just a low-end guy, but he has a lot of potential. So a sleeper type guy. So you wouldn't necessarily have to justify it just by a development rate. Excuse me. But it could be something like, okay, this guy's a 68 overall. He is a normal development, but if you look, he can get topped out on his athletic abilities, but he's going to always be an average cover guy and tackle guy. I can live with that as my third corner because he's a slot guy. He's going to be my slot cornerback. I'm not going to expect him to cover the top receiver. I'm going to expect him to be a good tackler, play in the box, play decent run defense. That's what I'm looking for out of this guy. So yeah, he fits my scheme, and he's fast as hell. So yeah, and he's 6'3". He's huge. Yeah, I'll keep him around. Or no, I won't. He doesn't fit my scheme. I like his speed. I like his potential for speed. But I need better cover guys, and he just doesn't fit that bill. I'll send him to somebody who will take him and maybe meet him in return for something they don't want. Another thing, just thought about it. Another thing I would love to see, which again was in Head Coach 09. Hate to keep bringing up Head Coach 09, but EA, that was your best effort as far as franchise mode. Hate to break it to you. Even with the bugs, still your best effort. Okay? Another attribute I would love to see them add, because it would make people have to focus on playbooks and actually have to do practice mode week to week. Again, I know there are some people that are fans of mine that want owner engagement in an online franchise. You know what would provide owner engagement? Having to have your players learn the playbook. Okay? As it stands now, and I understand, and have it be an on-off switch, by the way. Don't have this be mandatory. Okay? You've done it for some other stuff with EA. Why not do it for this? Make learning the playbooks a thing, where there's a value not tied to awareness called learning. It was in Head Coach 09, I know, okay? and have that learning attribute affect how fast a player learns a playbook. Okay? Hold on a sec. Grab that. Okay. Again, you have to get used to my cats, but okay. So, having a learning attribute, okay? Having a learning attribute, and it'd be on the same par as, any other attribute, 0 or 1 to 99, okay? Having that tie into learning the playbook. So essentially, like, you may try a play, and some of your players may not know that play that well, and therefore won't execute it as well as they should. This would allow you, and obviously now this is just for franchise, okay? So this is not something I would say goes in any other mode but franchise, okay? This is not something I'm saying do it in all modes and make people, care about using the team. I'm not that guy, okay? But for franchise users, having it mean something for using your own playbook and not changing playbooks would be huge. Or taking a playbook that exists and adding your own tweaks or taking a couple things in and out of it, so that way your players aren't learning a new completely playbook, but they're learning a few plays here and there, so that way you can kind of implement your own scheme over time. That creates engagement, because now your coaches say, okay, I'm the Miami Dolphins in this case. I'll use the Miami Dolphins playbook, but I'm going to use a modified version of it that adds maybe 20 or 30 plays on offense that I like to run, and taking out 20 or 30 plays I don't. Now those plays the players will still have to learn, but I can go into practice mode and run drills with those plays to get their learning up on the play so they execute it on game day that much better. Okay? And then over time they will get to a point where after a year or two, the players I keep around will then know that play to the best of their ability and be able to do that play and execute that play pretty well. And then I can then flip over more plays, and eventually that Miami playbook I started with isn't the Miami playbook anymore. It's mine, because I've added my plays and taken out old plays to the point where now they know my system. So now I've actually, coached my guys up, which makes sense. Let us coach the guys up. And have players that are really good athletically but are crap at learning the playbook. So that way, now a coach has to make a decision. Okay? This guy is an awesome athletic specimen, but he is about as dumb as a box of rocks. Do I try and take him and bring him in even though he doesn't fit my system? Or do I let a rival take him that may actually be able to use him better? Those create engagement, because that creates choices. You have to make real decisions that can impact your franchise. You have to say, do I go after this guy even though he doesn't fit the scheme and try and mold the scheme around him, change the scheme completely and affect a bunch of other guys? Do I take him in and just let him be a backup and try and hopefully teach him the playbook? It would also affect the draft as well, just to kind of really just jump off in the left field here. It would also affect the draft a good bit, because if you think about it, if you look at the prospects on the board, maybe you're picking top 3. You're picking the top 2, okay? Or actually, let's just say number 1 pick. Let's just go number 1 pick, okay? You got the number 1 pick in the draft, okay? You need a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback. Isn't that what everybody the first pick has? They always need a quarterback. You got a guy on the board, Tua. Let's just say Tua, just for example. Tua's not all that athletically imposing. He's okay. But he has a really good learning stat. So he picks up the playbook real quick. Or, let's see, who else was in that draft? Who else was in that draft? Crap. Oh man, brain fart. All of a sudden a brain fart. Actually, I'll use this current draft, okay? So the Jaguars, yeah, they took Trevor Lawrence, okay? And Trevor Lawrence is a stud, don't get me wrong, okay? But what if Trevor Lawrence had a lower learning stat than Zach Wilson? Okay? You look at their ratings after the fact, it looks pretty comparable. They both got a really strong arm. They're both pretty accurate across all three ranges. Okay, Lawrence is a little bit better. Okay, Wilson's got a little bit more mobility in the pocket. But if I'm the Jaguars, and for whatever reason, Trevor Lawrence has a lower learning stat, so he won't pick up the playbook as quick as, say, a Zach Wilson. This is a for instance, by the way. This is not an indictment on anything. As the Jaguars, would I take Wilson, even though he's got less capabilities by a little bit? Maybe that learning stat and learning the playbook is enough for me to kickstart it, because both of these teams need this guy to jump in and start immediately. Do I want the guy that might pick up the playbook quicker, so that way he is ready to go that much quicker? Or do I want the guy that's a little bit more talented but might take more time picking up the playbook? In the Jaguars case, maybe since Trevor Lawrence was the guy in this hypothetical scenario that was less learning, maybe I pick up Trevor Lawrence because I have Gardner Minshew. Now, Gardner Minshew's not that great, but he's starter capable. He started in the NFL before. I could throw him out there for a couple of games until Trevor Lawrence picked up enough of the playbook that I felt comfortable throwing him out there and having him execute. Okay? And knowing the playbook could help a lot as far as gameplay. Maybe if I don't know the playbook, if I'm, the wide receivers will run the wrong routes. Okay? Which would make a huge difference if you're planning on a guy running like a drag and suddenly he's running a fly route and you're like, what the heck, man, dude, you're not even close, what the heck, okay? That would add a little bit of realism, okay? And if Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback, doesn't know the playbook, maybe when I get to the line of scrimmage, I hold down the play art button and I look and I see not everybody's up there, or I see question marks. Again, EA did this kind of stuff in NCAA Football 14 with home field advantage. Sometimes cursors would not, the icons would not show up at all. Sometimes they would show up all squiggly. And as you play the game, they would become more ironed out and you'd see everything. The same thing could happen with this. You could just turn that particular concept into playbook learning. Okay? You would see the play art on the call screen, so you would know what generally should be done. But when you get in screen and you get in the game, suddenly you're playing by your quarterback's ratings or your players' ratings, and now maybe they might not remember the play as good as you do. Okay? That would add a little bit of realism. That would truly make good teams great and bad teams bad. And also, maybe if you've got a team that's not quite as good overall, but really knows the playbook and executes, now you've put coaching concepts into the game where teams that are lower overall with maybe some less quality of the sticks can still compete against guys that are better at the sticks because they have that ability to have the playbook knowledge, have the players in the system, be system guys, and know the system so well that they can outplay guys that are above their other overall on the other side of the ball. That creates engagement. That creates intrigue to me in franchise mode. So playbook learning. Okay, that's one thing I would love to see. Also, guys, fix that. It's 90 players now. Just letting you know. Just kind of crank that up in the database, up to 90 developers. You got that? Cool. Okay. 90 players in preseason. All right, that'd be cool. So hopefully you get the 17 games in. I know that was a struggle last year to get the updated Super Bowl in because you guys got rushed into putting in the franchise mode, because it was just a copy paste from last year. I would love to give the devs some slack, but there are some things that really, are almost inexcusable, except for the fact that the only thing I can say is pandemic. That's it. That's all I can say. That's the only lifeline I'll give them. But practice, one thing I would love to see is, and it was mentioned in a podcast I watched a couple days ago by grown folks, excuse me, is having the ability to export your roster and play it like in a head-to-head ranked matchup. Another thing I would like to see is having the ability to once a week come in here, find a team that's online, and just play them in a scrimmage game. Not a full game, maybe just do 3 to 5 minute quarters. but be able to play with these players and get like a real user-based scenario where you're essentially playing against another user. It's a shortened game, so you don't have to devote a lot of time to it. So it's something you can be like, hey, dude, you got some free time. If you got about 30 minutes, I'd really love to do a scrimmage game with you, and have it be 3 to 5 minutes. Have the rules of the league pulled in, so that way there's no variation, and just play through and play it like it's a season game. And also, EA, can we do it in like practice unis, like not in full gear? Because that would be kind of nice too, because it's not always full gear that they practice in. Put them in shorts and pads. You guys done it in the yard, I believe. Can we do it in like franchise mode? Can we add this stuff? That would be nice. I think for now, I think my Madden rant is about done. But there are so many things that just disappoint me about the Madden franchise. That after a decade of playing it, between the bugs, especially with Madden 20 bugs, Madden 19, but pretty much it's been pretty bad for a couple of years now. It's been really bad. It was so bad to the point where I quit in 20. I between wanting to develop content and basically having to run through brick wall after brick wall after brick wall between EA and other third-party sites, being able to get this information and use it to be able to put together content to make a CFM, which is another thing that I swore I was trying to get off the box. But yeah, this is horrible. This here is garbage. This is your user base. This goes to developers and suits at EA. Your user base can do better than that. To see that A for effort, yeah, we've been putting A for effort in for like a decade as far as making our franchises mean something to the users inside of it. Give us some help. Either make this a better area and a useful area, or at least an entertaining area. Maybe, I don't know, have this where I can move around, like maybe have it to where I click on Canton's new class, like I can actually maneuver to that article, and have it bring up pictures of those guys, even if it's just like frozen screenshots. Have them, or maybe like put their digital avatar in there with a Hall of Fame jacket in there. Just show them just show a little clip of them putting the Hall of Fame jacket on. Their digital avatar, I mean. So that shouldn't be much to do, I wouldn't think. Have somebody mocap putting a suit on in various sizes, and then have Drew Brees' avatar come out, put on a gold jacket, put a thumbs up to the camera, walk off. That's it. That would be awesome. That would be so. Just that little tidbit would be really nice. But also things like being able to look at these like training camp tour jets, like being able to go in and maybe see like a news article pop up and talk about camp battles. That used to be a thing. Camp battles used to be a thing. Do the same thing with training camp tour Buccaneers. All this Twitter garbage that gets put down here is terrible. It's the same stuff every year. I'll answer that later. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this rant up, okay? There's tons of things. Let us put stuff in this news feed. Let us upload stuff to it, okay? You can scan it beforehand and put it in there. But just let us do things and let us manipulate things. Add our own highlights to this. So that way people, when they come to this league page, can actually look and see stuff pertaining to their league and not this extra garbage that is honestly garbage, okay? We, as a fan base, deserve better. We've been complacent for a decade, waiting for things to get better. It's time for it to get better. So, I mean, I know I'm just one guy, and I know I don't have a big, huge following, but there are a lot of things in this that would be good to implement. If not, obviously not maybe this year, but maybe looking at 23. But you really need to start listening to your audience. All we ask is to be listened to and not treated like second class people. I realize it sounds horrible with the way things are in the world, but we are redheaded stepchildren in this game, comparatively speaking to other modes, and we deserve to not be that anymore. And that's all I got. So I'm going to end the stream, and you guys have a good day.